Well, good evening. My name is Mike Feigen, and I'm the owner of Design Tech Homes. And I have Brian Bromberg, who's our assistant sales manager, online with us. So if you have any questions during this webinar, please use the chat function or also the question and answer. And either I'll be answering those or Brian. Want this to be interactive as possible. Obviously, before COVID, maybe it's not so obvious now, but before COVID, I used to do this seminar live each month, both in Houston and in San Antonio. So currently we do them by webinar, but you should be able to get the same information by webinar as you got from me live. I'm going to launch a poll just so I have a little bit more information about you, so that when I'm talking, I'm able to get some of those questions. I can answer some of the questions based on some of the polling. So I'm going to move the poll over into the other screen, and if y'all would take that poll, that'd be great, and I'll be able to answer that. We also, at the end of the webinar, I'll be happy. I'm going to post the webinar information so that you're able to get this information again. So the presentation and all that will be emailed to you if you have attended automatically. So I launched the polling. I don't know if let me relaunch it here. Continue this poll, and hopefully y'all are able to see it. It may not work if it's on another page here, because I've never done it. Noun question 031. So I'm sure you can see the poll. I wonder if it's just not usable because I've never done it with my two screens. So if not, oh, here we go. It's working. So thank you. So I've launched the poll just for a little bit of information, and we'll get that filled out. But while I'm doing that, just a little bit about Design Tech Homes. We've been in business for almost 25 years, and my wife and I own it together. So we're a family-owned business, and we've been in Houston for all 25 of those years, and 23 and a half we've been building in the San Antonio region. So we build within about a 60-mile radius of Houston, and the same thing out of San Antonio, and we build all custom homes. We have our own design department, architectural department, and interior design department. So really a full service, one-stop shop, custom home builder. We did take everything from start to finish. My, our background, I've been in home building almost for 30 years. My wife was a CPA working for Coopers & Lybrand. I always say that's the reason why we're still in business, because we have a good accounting mind. I'm the kind of imaginative, visionary, and she's the one who makes sure that we're doing everything properly and by the book. So good partnership. And then my son recently joined the company. He too is also a CPA and worked for a large accounting firm, and recently joined us. So trying to carry on that business, and so he's currently in sales, learning the ropes. I do this seminar again once a month. It's really for people like yourselves looking to build on your own lot, and whether you're looking to, many of you are going to buy from someone else, but I want you to take all the information that I'm giving you, because it's going to be what you need when you're shopping. We're going to talk a little bit about what to look for in a home site, because that really can drive some of the cost of what it takes to build a home. So looking at the home site is a big issue in custom home building. Depending on where you're building, we're going to cover that. That's a short little stint of this seminar, and then we go to what to look for in a custom home builder. Then I'm going to move this poll out of the way, if that's all right with you all, and I'm going to start moving on. So again, founded in 1997, we built over 3,000 custom homes. So we've been under the same name the entire time, and one of our differentiating factors, a lot of people can't say that because they've changed their name or closed their company, is we have a 20-year warranty, and we stand behind what we do. So that's one of our differentiating factors. I also did a radio show for many, many years. I think it's almost 14 years. It was called The Better Home Show. I did it with an individual named Dale Phillips, who owned DPIS Engineering. And so I'm pretty good on my feet, being able to answer questions. So in this case, I'm pretty good with my keyboard. I always said when I was on the radio, everyone thought I was brilliant. Well, that's because I had Google with me. So if I didn't know something, I was able to Google it. But I'm able to answer most questions through 14 years of learning and over 30 years of home building experience. I'm able to usually answer most questions in and around home building or remodeling, because we do own a remodeling company. So what to look for in a home site, I'm going to cover each one of these things and what do they mean. So deed restrictions, why have them? Well, you see that picture in the bottom right-hand corner. That might be a reason you want to have a deed restricted neighborhood. Maybe you don't want to live next door to that. And that can happen. So definitely that's one reason maybe to have a deed restrictions. So again, they exist to protect your investment, because maybe nobody else would want to buy your home if it looked like that next door. Maybe your building style, your square footage. You might be building in an area where you're going to put a certain dollar amount in. Let's say you're going to spend $400,000 or $500,000. Well, you want other like homes in that same price range so that your value will be held up. So those are things to be thinking about when you look at property. Improvements, you know, if someone wants to add on later, they want to change the way their house looks. It will allow them not to be able to paint the home this color maybe. Maybe you like this color, but it's one I found that I didn't quite like if I lived next door. It provides a legal means for others to enforce the restrictions. So if you're in a restricted neighborhood, it's going to allow someone to be able to say, hey, that's not allowed, and they can come after you. So I always use the example of a deed restricted neighborhood is, if you don't like restrictions, you want to be able to do whatever you want to do, park your work truck, a camper, a van, whatever, you know, an RV. Those are all things you need to take into consideration when you're purchasing property, because those can all sometimes be a surprise. One of the first things I always say is ask for the deed restrictions. Make sure what you're wanting to build is in, you know, the style of your home, the size of your home. All those are things that you are able to do with the purchase of your property. That's one of the first things that I always ask for. And when you come shop for a home, that's one of the first things we're going to ask for is, hey, do you have your deed restrictions? You know, what are they? You know, what are they? We're going to find that out, of course, but we're going to say, what are they? And how do we make sure that we are meeting them? Subdivision infrastructure, okay? Properties to develop subdivision has a plan. You definitely want to make sure that your subdivision is laid out correctly. So I'm going to use San Antonio. There's Mystic Shores. In Houston, there's Texas Grand Ranch. Those are two that a lot of people know about. And those subdivisions were developed properly. They actually had a plan. They determined, you know, hey, where the roads, where they built the roads, where's the drainage going to go? When they're going to turn the roads over to the county, will the county take them? Those are all things that are important if you're buying from someone who's developing a subdivision. In the state of Texas, you can just wake up in the morning and go, I'm a developer. And that doesn't mean you are one. Means you just own property and you can cut a street into it, but they may be causing lots of issues for you later as the home buyer. So definitely, you know, look for a master plan community. If there's not a master plan subdivision, then you want to ask some of these questions. Did they do a geotechnical study? You know, these larger ones, it's not for your particular lot, but did they do one to say that, hey, this is pretty much the soil in this area? And when they do those tests, that the streets and everything are going to be developed a certain way so that they don't crack and fall apart, because eventually you as the homeowners have to take them over. And if the county doesn't take them over, or it's a private street, you want to make sure they're being done right. That means the association is going to be paying for it. Drainage plans, water, sewer, septic, laid out ahead of time. If it's less than an acre, you want to make sure that they have made sure that you can get water, because if it's less than an acre and you need to put a well and a water well in and a septic in, you got to know where every single septic system's going, and you got to know where every single water well is going. So those are all things, again, to consider and ask those questions. If it's over an acre, it's generally not a problem. Most of the properties that are being sold, I'd say a large portion of them, have water, and you're having to put in a septic. Is the water supply public, or do you need to put in a well? I always say ask that question. A lot of people, I've seen them walk in and shop us, and they start talking about the water and how they're going to have the water there, and we're going, wait a minute, the water is not there. I mean, you don't have water. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, we built there many, many times, and there's not water in that subdivision. So again, something to ask and make sure that it really is there. Gas or propane, okay? They may not have gas or propane there, it may be all electric, and you just want to know that. A lot of people ask me what's the most efficient, and I'm going to say propane is the most efficient if there's no gas available, meaning propane and gas is more efficient than electric. And I'm going to cover energy efficiency in just a little while. You can bury a propane tank. A lot of people don't know that. So that's something to also consider if you don't like to see the propane tank above ground. Floodplain locations. You can look up floodplain maps and see if it's in a federally designated floodplain. You can type in your address generally now, it'll pull it up. You can also get what's called a floodplain certificate. Okay, floodplain certificate's about $14. It's one of the things when you write a contract with us, we're definitely going to go run that because it may not be in a floodplain or shown in a floodplain when you bought it, but it now is in a floodplain. These flood maps change all the time. Look for positive drainage away from your home site. Okay, that's the #1 reason for slab failure anywhere in the United States, anywhere around homes is not having positive drainage. So looking around the site, the ones you're looking at to buy, if you already own it, you want to make sure that where you're placing your home, you can create positive drainage. I always say, check with longtime neighbors. You could be in an area that doesn't flood, it's never flooded, but for some reason, it doesn't flood by the maps, but it does flood when the neighbor tells you it rains 22 inches in a day. So those are all things to ask questions. You may not be able to do that in a new area and you're gonna have to rely on the flood maps. But if you're in an older neighborhood, that is something definitely to ask. Okay, lots with insufficient drainage can add a lot to the cost of building. That's one thing to consider as you're looking at your property. Improper drainage will cause you to have to spend dollars to get your house up. Make sure your slab's up, everything drains around your house. It can all be done, but it's generally at a cost. It's always at a cost. For public utilities, that's overhead power in that top right-hand picture, okay? And that's the same thing on the bottom left-hand picture. And then there's underground power. Overhead power is generally free from the utility company, meaning up to about 150 feet, they're not going to charge you. Underground power, which is the picture you see on the right, is always charged. So if you're buying in a neighborhood which requires underground power connections, which is very nice and looks great, you're definitely going to be paying extra money for that underground power. Overhead, again, up to about 150 feet, you're not going to be paying any more money. So those are all things, again, to consider. That's one extra cost that you may not be aware of. And you're going, well, if you're in San Antonio and you have to cut through the rock, sometimes getting underground power back 75 or 150 feet can be several thousands of dollars, 4, 5, 6,000 possibly, depending on where you're at. In Houston, obviously you can go through the dirt. It's a little bit easier. Depending on how far away, it could be $2,000, $3,000, or $4,000. So again, no matter what home you build, no matter what home builder you choose, those are some of the costs that you're going to incur because you just bought the lot. You say, I want to put a home on it. So lengthy water, sewer, power lines, all add to the cost of your home. One thing to always remember is the farther you are back on the property, the farther you go back, the more money the home costs. Okay, why is that? The farther you go back, the more you're going to have to deal with the additional cost of water lines. Your driveway, okay, is going to get longer. Okay, your power lines, your septic, all those things all of a sudden start getting bigger. The septic's next to your house, but if you're in the city and you have to hook up your to city water or sewer, again, if you're farther away, those things end up costing you more money. Same thing with the power. So utility lines cost money, just something to be thinking about. Okay, water well, water, septic, all those things, if desired, can be in excess of $20,000. So again, you bought the house and you bought the lot, I should say, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, these are extra things that are in that you have to account for in your home costs that maybe you would not have had to account for when you're buying into a subdivision where the lots are only, your setback on your lot's 25 feet deep and all those things are kind of packaged in. But each home's different. We include up to X amount, but some people set their houses back a lot farther. So as you look at your entire build and looking at how you're placing your home, all those things can add to the cost of your home build. So just be aware of that. Driveways, again, they can vary significantly in cost depending on the material, length, location, all those things are to be considered. Concrete in the Houston area is generally less than asphalt. If you're in San Antonio, depending on where you're building, sometimes asphalt can be less because you have a good base on the north side, meaning you're a little bit more rocky on the north side of town. Well, I'll tell you, again, that goes to the restrictions. If you're looking at, hey, I don't want to spend a lot of money on a driveway, I really want to spend it on my house, and you buy in a restricted neighborhood, there's some neighborhoods we build in that need patterned concrete, colored concrete, certain type of, or pavers. All those things can add significantly to the cost of your home. So those are things to be thinking about when you purchase the property, because again, those they were in the restrictions. So with that, I'm going to move on to what to look for in a custom home builder. I told you that first portion was really what to look for in a lot. It's really a brief overview just to get you thinking. Again, restrictions, read your restrictions, make sure you can understand what they are. It could be square footage. Maybe you're living in a 4,000 square foot house and your kids have moved out, you're retiring, you don't want to build anything more than 2,000. You're going to travel in your RV. Well, if the restrictions say you got to build 2,500, you're not building 2,000. So again, restrictions can also be square footages and building styles, whether it's a farmhouse style or whether it be all stucco. Could be, I want a farmhouse style that's all siding. Well, the restrictions require you to have 100% masonry. Those are all things to consider when you're looking at purchasing your lot. So full service one-stop shop, I'm going to cover what all these mean, quality standards and specs, full disclosure practice, compliance with applicable laws and codes, all these things I'm going to cover. So today there's a lot of builders that offer what I call full service one-stop shop, or one place to do it. We started many, many years ago, that was not the case. So we do everything from start to finish. We'll do the site preparation, we'll take down the trees, we have our own architects on staff, our own interior designers on staff, our own designers of homes on staff as well, besides the architects. So we really like to consider us a full service, one-stop shop custom home builder. We don't ask you to go out and do the stuff yourself. Now you can if you want to, but that's something that we handle, we will do it, and we'll take care of it. So just something to consider. Lot side evaluation. We're going to come out and make sure when we go out on your lot that we really determine where everything's going. That's a big deal. That's a full-time job at Design Tech Homes. And we, prior to the sale, we're doing some lot evaluations, and then even after the sale, once you've totally decided which plan, what you wanted to be on, everything, we're doing a full lot side evaluation. It means, where's the home being placed? Do you want do you need where does the septic go? Are you putting a pool in? Are you putting an outbuilding in? People with horses, where are you going to put the barn? How are you going to lay out and put your fencing up? All those things we're trying to take into account. Maybe you collect cars and you have an outbuilding, you're putting a car in. Hey, what kind of power are you going to need out there? Maybe you're a welder, or you like welding, or you have a wood shop. All those things we're trying to understand prior to not just figuring out which house it is, but also trying to figure out, hey, what are your power requirements? Because that can be different. Our standard is a 200 amp service, but if you're putting a pool in, a barn, an outbuilding, depending on the size home you have, you might need a 400 amp service or a 600 amp service. So those are all things we're looking at to make sure that when you move into that home and you do want to add on something, and you're going to add it on a year from now, that all of a sudden it's not 3 times the cost because it wasn't thought through. Because all those things are less money if you do it up front. So the lot clearing, how many trees are coming down? Where's the best placement for this home? Sometimes with that expertise, you might want the home back at 150 feet. And when the time we're done with that lot side evaluation, sometimes we move the home up to 100 feet. We could save $30,000, $40,000 because maybe there's fall in the property. It literally has a hump in it, or there's a hill, or in San Antonio, it's kind of going off the edge of a hill. All those things, by being able to move the house and understand what trees need to come in and out, and having that person with that expertise can really save a significant amount of money. So that's not something that should just be kind of passed over. That is something that someone needs experience on. And so, each of our individuals in both cities have had a lot of experience doing that. We want to make sure that when it's done that we're giving you the best possible advice so you can make the decision on where you want to place your home so that you get it for the best possible cost. Because I talked about doing your site really can drive cost. Architectural control approval, that's another full-time job at Design Tech. We're getting architectural control approval, we're getting permit approval, all those things, getting the permits. We're handling that from start to finish. You know, meet with your builder on your lot. You know, that's really, really important to have them really understand what you're building, where you're building. A lot of people will go, it's this amount of money for your site. And I always say, until you have a proper site visit, you have no idea how much it costs to build on your site. And if you don't have a plan and you're asking somebody how much the site is, you're asking for a guess. Now, if we have a plan and we know the footage of the plan and we know we're going to place it, and you can even get onto the lot, if it's fully treed, it's still a guess. So we're good at guessing, but for you to know exactly what it is, they need to go out there with some surveying equipment. We use a CompuLevel. It's a Stanley CompuLevel where we go out, we can tell you the height differential. We're laying out everything. We're figuring out what trees need to come out and making that determination so that we can be able to tell you, here's exactly what it costs. And so I would really urge you when people start throwing around numbers and you go, hey, I think this one's less or that one's more, until you have that firm number, you really don't know. You have a good guess, and a lot of times a good allowance is good enough for a lot of people, but I would make sure that they understand what you're getting. And so it really requires a visit from the builder. So something to think about. Home site utility placement, I kind of covered that earlier. That's a big deal, where it's all placed. And then additional costs associated with that lot could be significant depending on the fall. When you're looking at property, if you haven't bought it yet, I'm going to think about half the people who are attending tonight have not bought property yet. You know, sometimes the piece of property that's 100, let's just use simple math. One's 50,000, one's 100. The one that's 50 has the same view as the one that's 100. It really applies to San Antonio quite a bit. They go, oh my God, I got a great deal. I bought this house for 50, or this lot for $50,000. They then buy the lot. They now meet a builder. They go out with their builder, and the builder looks at that and they go, oh my gosh, you have a lot of fall on this property. To build on this property is going to cost you $75,000 because we need to get your slab flat. They go, oh, we were looking at that other one up there. We saved all this money. The other one was flat. That one was 100 was a better buy. They may not need to spend any money on that house up there. You know, so those are all things to be considering when you look at property. Really, it's beyond, you know, just location. It's beyond what it looks like. It's also how level is it, and what other costs are going to be associated with building on that lot. Maybe the power, you know, the underground power is I'm making this up right now, but 400 foot from the lot, and all the other ones, it's 100 feet from the lot. Well, you're going to spend a lot extra money to bring it to that 400 foot if that's how far the pedestal is away. Quality standards. If your builder doesn't do these things, then you definitely don't want to build with them. So first of all, we require, and so should every builder in the world, require a soils test by a geotechnical engineer. Okay, that's going to be a boring that goes down 15 feet or as deep as they can go. Okay, so a lot of people on the north side of San Antonio, they go, oh, we built there before. You don't need to do a soils test. You know, we built one next door. Every single lot requires a soils test. Every single lot we will never build on without a soils test, and either should you. It's about $1,100 for a soils test, and that's what they're going to determine what kind of home should be built on your lot or foundation. So without that, they properly can't do that. So I highly recommend, I don't recommend, I insist if you're doing it, that you get a soils test, again, by a geotechnical engineer, not somebody going out there with a shovel, picking up the soil, going, it looks good. I can't tell by that. I'm not God. I don't go down 15 feet, and I'm not a geotechnical engineer. They take those 15, so if it goes down 15 feet, they're going to take 15 1-foot cylinders out of the ground. It's going to look like coffee cups, except 12 inches tall, or coffee, like a coffee grinds, when I say coffee grinds, can, and they're going to take those up, and there's going to be 15 of those. Those are then going to get wrapped up in cellophane, put into a a cooler and take them back to the lab. That's where they're going to heat them up. They're going to cool them off. They're going to try to recreate what happens in nature over time to that particular soil. And then they're going to come out with a report that's a lot of pages, probably 30 or 40 pages, that's going to say, this is my soil, and this is the kind of things you need to do to prepare the site, and these are the kind of slabs that they suggest. And then that gets sent over to the structural engineer. It's a totally different person, and they're going to properly design a slab for that particular lot. Many of you may have shopped online, and you look at online plans and they say, oh, they'll send you the structurals, they'll send you the foundation for it. That's actually, if you were to buy one, completely worthless, because that's not the foundation you're going to be building, because your engineer's got to design a foundation that's proper for your location. It may have grade beams that are similar, but it's not going to be the right depth, and it may not be the right kind of slab. So it's very, very important that those two steps be done if you want to build a good house. And then the next thing is we engineer our frames. Okay, we do not build any of our frames that are not engineered, and that is unique really to Design Tech Homes unless you build in the city. If you build in a city, whether it's the city of San Antonio, city of Schertz, city of Houston, all those require an engineered set of stamp plans. They also require engineered foundations. When you're out in the county, all those things I just talked about are not required. So there are a few builders that will not build in the city. So if you hear the builder goes, we don't build there, they don't build there for a few reasons. One is they don't have engineered plans, or they don't want to do engineered plans. One is it's harder. You have inspections. I'm going to get into inspections later. So they may not want to do it for that reason. So I definitely would look, and they also may not want to do it because they're trades, the plumbers, the electrician, and HVAC contractors who have to all be licensed, may not be licensed. That'd be the only reason that I would ever want to build in the city, because we build in the city all the time, and in all different communities. So whether you're in the city or the county, we're going to build them the same way. So that's something else to be asking as you go through there. But we engineer all of our frames, which is like if you were to build a high rise, you would hope that they engineer it so it doesn't fall down. We do that on every home, and that's, again, not something that every builder does. So, quality standards, make sure your builders are adequate risk insurance in the event of a loss. If you're getting a loan through a mortgage company, they're going to make sure of that. If you're not getting a loan, they're doing cash, you definitely want to make sure that they have the wherewithal to be able to take care of problems. Okay. The other thing that you have to be wary of is if you have stolen material, stolen goods on site, all those things are covered by us as the builder. Okay. If you're in a situation where they don't have any insurance and that place burns down, the house burns down, the proper insurance, I should say, you could be in trouble. On a cost plus contract, we're a fixed cost builder. So we're fixed cost. On a cost plus building scenario, you're going to pay those costs when there's stolen material. You're going to pay those costs when there is, a loss for a fire. They're deductible. So read the fine print. We're a fixed cost builder, and so those costs are all covered by us. The other thing you can do is visit the model home parks, visit their homes under construction. Those are all things you can do to see if you like what kind of workmanship they're doing. Full disclosure practice. This is a big thing for us. Everything we do is in writing. Contract, specs, and options in writing. If it's not in writing, you're not getting it. Excuse me for a moment. If it's not in writing, you're not getting it. So you definitely want to be aware of that. If it's not in writing, I would say you're not getting it. Same thing when we do remodels. So every single thing we do is in writing. I keep saying that out loud because I really mean that we want to make sure that if you don't buy from us, we get it in writing from everything. You want to make sure everything you talk about that you think you're getting on your home is put in writing. So that's why we do complete plan drawings. Let's say you did like one of our base plans, a plan that you saw at the model park, and you make 3 changes to it. It gets completely redrawn and your name goes on it, and that is the plan that you're going to build with all your changes. If you move an outlet, it gets redrawn, and that's something that we sign. All the selections and options are also drawn on the plan. So we know what we're building. You do not know what you're getting if it's not, the roadmap is your plan. If you don't have a good plan, you don't have a good roadmap, and that's when a lot of problems happen. So, we do everything in writing. All your specifications are all in writing. I can tell you what kind of 2x4s you're getting in your home, and you should know what kind of 2x4s you're getting in your home. I can tell you how far apart they're placed. I can tell you what kind of sheetrock, the screws, literally, I know each thing that's going into your home, and so do you, because that's the only way I know what to deliver. So again, that's very, very crucial to me. Make sure everything's in writing. Pre-construction meeting, okay? That's a meeting that after you've chosen your home, after you've got your plan designed, after you've done your selections, after you know everything, before you close on your construction loan, okay? You know what your house cost. We're going to sit with you one more time and go over everything. Is this the house you wanted? Yes. Is this your plan? Are these your selections? Yes, they are. We're going to go over all that stuff to make sure that what you asked for is what we're delivering, and that you know what you're getting on your home. And that's at pre-construction meeting. I highly advise you that you definitely have a pre-construction meeting with your builder so that you know what you're getting. Because you may have talked a lot about a lot of things, and then all of a sudden things change, you've changed your mind, and you really don't know what you're getting because you forgot, or the builder forgot. The builder made a mistake. I can tell you we do those meetings every week, 2-3 times a week as we're meeting customers, and you'd be surprised what comes out. I thought I was getting this, or hey, Mr. Builder, you made a mistake. I mean, it works both ways. Hey, something you wrote down, I caught, and it wasn't right. So before we get out on the lot, before we start construction, we all get it out in the air that, hey, this is the final document, and we all sign off on it, and that's what we build by. So highly recommend that pre-construction meeting. That gets you that clear understanding between you and the builder of what you purchased. Say if you don't like shopping where you're at, the professional on a sales staff, then I would say don't buy there. Just like if you're going out to buy a car, you don't like when you're shopping there, those are all things to be thinking about. And I don't like this, I don't feel comfortable, then don't buy from there. This next thing is our disclosure statement, okay? That's required by the law. It's been around since 1998. I don't know how small it looks for you on there, but you can read it. When I used to do it in a big room, it was really, really hard to read, and it was all blurry. But part of that disclosure statement, you'll find that a lot of builders, you'll never even see that. And you won't see it because nobody's checking builders until something bad happens. When something bad happens, that's a little late for you to start knowing, what's good, what's bad, and what you want to, and how you want to handle it. So what I always suggest is kind of know the law. So one thing in this disclosure statement is we're required to give you a list of suppliers and subcontractors during the build process. So not before it, but during the build process. After you close, we're going to give you that list. All it does is let you know who's going to be working on it, but that's part of the law. May or may not help you, but again, we're complying with the law. There's the progress reporting for draws. We get paid in draws, okay? We get paid as the house progresses. And as the house progresses, so if we pour the slab, we get paid to draw. When we frame your home, we'll get paid another draw. All those things are progress payments throughout the process, okay? We have to report that. We have to let you know we're getting those. One of the things that happen where you hear the bad stories of builders or builders that have problems is they are living off the draw. You may have never heard that term, but living off the draw means they don't have the wherewithal to make any payments to anybody really until they get a draw. So they're waiting to get the draw to pay for their foundation. They're waiting to get the draw to pay the framer. They're waiting to get the draw to pay their construction manager. To give an example, we do not live off the draw. It's very important that we pay everybody on time. So everybody in our company gets paid, obviously. I'd be the last one to get paid, but we also pay all our subcontractors all on time. It's because we're not living off the draw. We are in the business to make a profit, so we don't underprice the home. And what happens when you live off the draw is eventually there is no draw to pay somebody, and that's where you hear those bad stories. They might be building for 3 or 4 people, and you go, oh my God, they're building for my neighbor, or they're building for the guy across the street. And then you start seeing things slow down or problems happen, and you realize that, wait a minute, maybe they don't have any money and they're having to wait for the draw to be able to make a payment. And so you want to be very careful of that. If they don't charge enough, they're going to end up eating into, meaning having to use that money to pay just the trades, and other people aren't going to get paid eventually. So that's why you hear the term living off the draw. So what we've done, part of this law, is called an escrow account. Okay, funds can't be commingled into the builder's operating account. So I have a builder operating account, and I have my construction account. My operating account, I can do whatever I want to with it. My construction account is to pay all the bills. So when I get a draw, and let's say a draw is, making it really simple, is $50,000, and 48,000 of it's to pay for the foundation, the profit of 2,000, I can go do whatever I want to with it, but 48,000 of it needs to go to pay for that foundation. So all the stuff I'm talking about, you'll never know about until there's a really bad problem, but you will know about it if you're shopping and say, hey, how do you handle your accounts? Do you commingle funds? Do you, how do you handle that? Hey, where's this, where's this property code? I didn't see this form when you're having me sign the contract. So those are all things to think about when you're shopping your builder. Whoops. So warranty, customer service. Get a written copy of your home builder's warranty before signing a contract. Okay. Every builder in the state of Texas is responsible for your slab and structure for 10 years. Every builder is responsible for your slab and structure for 10 years. If your builder goes out of business, you have no warranty. If your builder goes out of business, you have no warranty. There are some third-party warranty. Some are dispute resolution. Okay, it's right here. There's ACES. There's RWC. There's some insured warranties. Okay, what you definitely want to understand is some of those insured warranties, most of them, not all of them, are all there for if the builder goes out of business. So first they go back to the builder, and the builder is supposed to take care of the problem. So if your builder's not there, now you're depending on the insurance company if they have an insured program. And then under their insured program, I can read all the fine print. It says the home must be uninhabitable. They don't just go fix your stuff. It has to be bad. They're an insurance company. They're insurance to make money. So I always say, really, it's only as good as your builder. So definitely do the research and find someone who's going to stand behind their product and be there for a long time, because you definitely don't want to be in that situation. Also, how do they handle warranty? Do they have 24-hour, emergency services? Do they have their own crews? How do they handle the warranty after the sale? We have our own warranty department. We have our own warranty trucks. We have our warranty crew. Yes, sometimes we have to use some of our trades, but after you've moved into your home, we hope there's nothing major, and all the small stuff we're able to take care of. And I'm talking about a year later or 6 months later. If it's a plumbing or electrical HVAC, yes, we have to get those contractors involved. But generally, after that, it's our own crews. So references, things you can do, check out the builder's references. Visit the homes under construction by the builder. Talk to subcontractors about their payment history. If they're living off the draw, maybe they don't get paid every week. Our guys get paid every Friday for work they did the previous week. Excuse me. Check out the owners of the company. Is a builder a member of the Better Business Bureau? Those are all things you can do to check out your builder. Next thing I'm going to talk about is energy efficiency. That's probably a big buzzword. A lot of people talk about energy efficiency, and as you shop, I'm sure if you've shopped already, you're going to hear from every builder, we're energy efficient. We're the most energy efficient. We do all this great stuff, or we build to Energy Star standards. You're going to hear all those comments. We're one of the few custom builders in Texas that 100% of our homes, and I always say the few because I don't look it up every month. We're one of the only ones in Houston, and maybe we're one of 2 or 3 in San Antonio, that build 100% of our homes to the Energy Star standard. Every builder in the United States is required to build to the National Energy Code. Earlier, I spoke about inspections. If you're in the city, they check to make sure you're building to the National Energy Code. If you're in the county, there's nobody checking. Nobody knows. We subscribe to Energy Star because we actually have third-party inspections and a whole process that verifies that we're building your home way beyond the energy code. I always use the word about 30% better than the energy code, way beyond the energy code, but also we're getting your home to be Energy Star certified. So it becomes a certified home. So this is a big deal to me. This is a big differentiating factor between me and you. Say, what's different about you? This is one of them. All the builders, all of them will tell you they build an energy efficient home. All of them will tell you about all the foam they use and the ductwork they use and all that good stuff. I will tell you that all those people don't build energy efficient homes unless they have inspections. We fail our energy inspections. Well, the only reason you fail those is because you have them and you're building to a certain standard. So, you know, some of the stuff we do, we put in insulation, we use a blown in bib system. It's called bibs, which is a blown in fiberglass insulation that goes into the wall. But before we blow the insulation in the wall, we seal up every crack and crevice with foam. Okay, we get R15 insulation in the wall just like you do with foam. It's no different. But we're sealing up all the cracks and crevices with foam, the bottom plate, the top plate, around the windows, around the doors. Okay, we also are putting R38 insulation in the attic. Okay, the same thing you would get with foam, except we have a radiant barrier that goes at the roof deck. So we're reflecting out the radiant heat. We're using a low E3 window. So windows are a big deal. You're going to hear a lot of people talk to you about, we use vinyl pane windows. We use vinyl pane double pane windows. So do we. We use a vinyl pane double low E3 window. It's the pane of the window, not necessarily just the name of the window. The pane of the window is like having I always use the example of a Ray-Ban, and you're going to go, for those who might fish or want to be able to see into the water, a really good pair of Ray-Bans or a polarized lens can see into the ground, really protects your eyes. Well, your house is built with a really great polarized window, and that costs more money. That's standard in every home we build. It's an included feature. We have the low E3 window that has great, I'm going to use the word polarization, but it's the low E. They're not polarized, but that low E3, we'll give that example. They have their own little tint to them, but they look clear, and they also are really energy efficient. And the lower the U value, that's what you're looking for, the more efficient the window is. So you can buy a low E window with a U value of 0.40, or you can buy a low E window with a U value of 0.32. Remember, I said the lower the better. Ours are 0.32 or better, depending on the size window you have. So those are the kind of things when people are comparing, they don't know how to compare. They just go, they got windows, you got windows. Well, we're building a really, really energy efficient home. We're also Indoor Air Plus certified. So we built this home, we're building it really tight. You know, we wrapped the entire home with structural sheathing, OSB. We're then wrapping it with Tyvek, which is an air barrier, but it also breathes. A lot of these people are using different products that don't breathe. They don't let the water in, but they also don't breathe. In our scenario, it breathes outwards, but doesn't let any of the air come inwards, and also doesn't let the water inwards. So if you think of Gore-Tex on your body lets your body breathe out, but keeps you warm and protects you from the weather. Your house is wrapped in Gore-Tex. And Tyvek, for those who don't even know what it is, probably everybody's has held Tyvek in their hand. It's a FedEx package. Tyvek is every FedEx package. And as you know, the glue on FedEx, you can't open those up. Well, that's the same tape you use around your doors and your windows and all the stuff sealing up your entire home. So again, great product. And I've been using it for over 25 years and never been more pleased with it. There's a lot of other stuff out there that costs less, but this is far superior than anything else out there. And that's why it costs more. Same thing with the tapes and all those things we use around your house. part of the Indoor Air Plus is we're going to build your house very tight. So we actually have an exhaust system that exhausts out the stale air and brings in fresh air for the amount of time your system runs, and make sure that your home doesn't get high humidity in it, and also filters the air throughout the house. So Indoor Air Plus, we're going to bring in and make sure you have healthy indoor air. Obviously, we've been doing this far before there was COVID, but that's really important. But it really helps with allergies and things like that. Having an Energy Star home really does help with people who have allergies because the house is built correctly and tight. We have to have less than 3% duct leakage, meaning your ducts have to leak less than 3%. That's usually why most builders don't start doing this. There's testing involved. And if I literally call up a whole bunch of HVAC contractors and I tell them I'm an Energy Star builder, they go, we don't want to do your work. Because you fail those tests, you have to come back and seal things up. They do what's called a blower door test and a duct blaster test. They're actually testing the ductwork for duct leakage, and they're testing your house, the door blaster test, where they're testing the entire house for air infiltration. So it's quite an extensive system that goes in to make sure we're complying and meeting Energy Star. And only after that do you get the logo saying your home's Energy Star certified. So if you ever were to sell your home and someone says, how efficient is your home? You can go, yep, my home's energy efficient. Guardian Certified Inspection Program. I've been talking a lot about inspections a little bit previously. If you're in the county, there are no inspections. None. No one's inspecting your home. I actually met a buyer yesterday that goes, oh, someone told me that we're able to, the banker, we should get a loan just so the banker will come out and inspect the home. They literally said that to me yesterday in my office over here. And they were buying $1 million. Their home was going to be a 1.5 million. They said, yeah, we can pay cash, but we're going to get a loan. I said, well, you could get a loan, but I wouldn't depend on that person inspecting your home. A banker drives by and goes, the frame's there, the foundation's there. All they're looking for is what the builder said or what the buyer said is there before they fund the money. They are not looking for the quality, and they have no idea whether it's constructed correctly. So you want a third party, certified inspector to make sure that's done properly. And we hire a third party certified inspector. I have many buyers ask, what happens if, we want to hire our own inspector? I said, that's great. We love inspections. We think that's fantastic. So we know we're delivering the best possible home. So my construction managers, I can tell you, don't love our inspectors, but that's required by me because I can't be at every single home at every stage. And that way I know it's being done right. And I can tell you, even if I were to build your home, I would have my own home inspected because I don't see everything, and nor does anyone else. That's what they do every day. And so, it's a big deal to me. So these are all the inspections that are required. And if we're in the city, we're getting the city inspections and we're doing these Guardian certified inspections. So the first one's a foundation inspection, and you can't do a proper foundation inspection if you don't have an engineered foundation. So they're going out and they're making sure that what the engineer designed, and this is the engineer's representative for us, is what is being put in the ground. That's what they're doing. Then there's a plumbing inspection. We're filling up all the sewer pipes with water prior to placing the concrete, okay, to make sure that there's not a leak underneath the slab. If it passes that test, then there's the foundation placement. This is very unique to us. This is not a city requirement. It's not in any city inspections. We bring out the third-party inspector, and they're there during the entire placement of the foundation to make sure that everything is being done properly, and that the material that we ask to be delivered, whether it's 3,000 PSI concrete, 5 sack, if this mix is what is being delivered. They're checking. We do have a construction manager there. They're checking as well. But we want to have a third party at this critical stage to make sure that what we have spec'd out, what we specified, and what we designed, and what the engineer designed is what's going in the ground. It's critical that we get the foundation correctly. Then we do a frame inspection. You can't do a frame inspection if you don't have an engineered frame. There's lots of people that come out and they go, oh, they put fire. There's code issues like fire blocking. We're going to do all those. There's code issues that you might have to, brace things at a certain height. But we're looking at the engineering, not just that. We're looking at the engineering of the overall frame. Did they place the struts, the purlins where they need to go? Did they put in all the beams where they should properly go? They're checking all this stuff so that as we're building the home, it's being built properly. One of the questions was, how often are the construction managers at the job site? Okay, I will say they are there almost every day. And the only reason they wouldn't be there every day, if there was a time that, let's say they were doing the foundation, what we call makeup, setting up the foundation, and they went out there, they met the person to do that, and they knew that was going to take 2 days. They may not come back for that section, but there's sections where they're there every single day. Our construction managers are required to communicate with you at least 3 times a week, at least, okay? So we also have an area manager that's required to be in contact with you. And so we have a lot of communication going on, and many of them, if not almost all of them, in a lot of cases, we'll talk to them every day, or at least send an email back in between every day. But that's really, some people don't want to be communicated with that much, and some people want a lot of communication. So we really we have a minimum of 3 times, but they can also do it more than that as well. So again, something to understand as we go through the process. Plumbing rough, that's an inspection by, because we use all of our plumbers, electricians, and HVAC contractors are all licensed, but we do bring out a third party, which is during this process, to go inspect their stuff. Okay, so we do a plumbing inspection, an electrical inspection, an HVAC inspection. We also do block-in insulation. That's all part of that Energy Star. They actually go out and they make sure, did they do everything that is proper on the site? Did they install all the insulation properly? That sounds crazy that you would think that, but when we first started doing this stuff to be an Energy Star builder, they literally went out, we've been installing insulation not properly. We were compressing it. We were pushing things in. You should, if you see a bat, we don't use bats anymore, but a bat insulation, the stuff that rolls out that you see, sometimes advertised. Well, if that gets compressed, someone pushes on it, then it doesn't have the same insulative value. So sometimes they would have a wire running through a wall and they would push it down against the wire. If you're using bats, you need to split it and have the wire go around, through the middle of it. We use what's called a blown-in bib. So it goes around everything that's in the wall. It's a better way of insulating, but you're getting your full R15. But they come and inspect for all this stuff. So that's all part of it. One of the things that they're asking this, and I'll interrupt myself as I'm talking because it's a question. How many homes is each construction manager responsible for any given time? It's really depends. I mean, you're gonna hear me say depends, but it's generally no more than 5. Depends on how big the homes are and what area they're in. When I say what area, if the homes are very, very large, they might be carrying 1 home. So if the person's building a $1.5 million home and they're building a $400,000 home in the same neighborhood, that's probably all they're getting. They need that focus. If they're building, 4 or 5 in one neighborhood that are all 500,000, they're all right near each other, then they're going to be at the homes multiple times a day. So we really don't want our guys carrying any more than 5 homes. Okay. We always said 5 to 7, but generally because of the dollar volume, they're around 5, but that's the max. Some guys will some people have their builders carry 10, 12, 15. We don't do that. We want to make sure they have enough time to be there. We also have an area manager that oversees them. So you also have an area manager that goes out on site that oversees that construction manager. So again, there's a lot of eyes out there on site to make sure it's being done properly. Then we do a cosmetic inspection that's done by a third party, and as well as our construction manager, and I always say as well as the home buyer. That cosmetic inspection, the reason we do a third party on that is we want to make sure that someone who's never been to the house is going there, because they're going to end up seeing stuff that maybe the person who's been there, like yourself, the homeowner, and the construction manager, don't see because they kind of got blinders on. I always use the example of, if you came to my house, you might go, oh my gosh, there's an imperfection on that wall. I know it's been there, but I walk by it every day and don't think about it. If I go to your house and there's a crack above a window, I might go in there and see it right away because I'm a builder and I'm always looking around. you might have forgotten about it or don't see it. So having that third party go into the house really helps us find those things before you move in. We're delivering a 100% complete home when you move in. We want to find all those problems. I mean, our checklist requires them. They're sitting on a toilet, your toilet, not going to the bathroom, but sitting on it because that's what you're going to do and go, hey, why didn't they paint underneath here? Why do they look at that? Because you got a lot of time when you're sitting there. They're going to get in your tub and look up and look at what are they going to see, because those are the kind of things that maybe a painter or a trim carpenter misses. Those are the times you're going to be starting to look around. So we have all that kind of stuff in our checklist. They're going to jump up on the countertop and look on top of the cabinets if there's a space. Make sure stuff's not left there. Those are all the things as we're finishing that home up, we're going to do to make sure we're delivering a very complete home. Then that final code inspection, that inspection is very much like the inspection you would get, or it's exactly like if you're buying an existing home. They're going to go in and check everything one more time to make sure that what, is all the stuff done properly? Did they do everything they said they were going to do on all the previous inspections? Making sure, again, 100% everything's done. And then the final inspection is that blower door test and duct blaster, where they're going to make sure this house is sealed up completely so that it then can get that Energy Star certification and Guardian certification. So you actually get Guardian certification and Energy Star certification. It's a big deal. There's a lot of builders that do not do inspections, and they may go, we inspect the slab and we come out and do the frame. You really need to ask what kind of inspections and how thorough. We fail inspections. You will see us fail. 99% of frame inspections are failed, because if you're inspecting, you're going to find stuff. And that's why I'm proud that we failed, because it means we have someone out there looking to find things. Our guys are always trying to pass, but they're always finding things. And that's good, because there's a million pieces and parts to a house, and you may not even see what they were having to fix. May not be anything consequential to you. It can be something that could cause a problem later in your home, but would have been covered up. So those are the kind of things they're doing when they're out there. So building green, a lot of people ask, do you build green? I put this slide in here several years ago because we really believe in building green, but building economical green. So we do a lot of things always that are green. One is being energy efficient. I mean, really, to be a green builder, you have to build to a really high standard. Energy Star is a really extreme standard. So we do green. And you really can't be a green builder if you're not building a super energy efficient home. Energy savings, that's all about it. And all the lighting in your home's all LED. 100% of your lighting in your home is LED. All the light bulbs, all the lighting we purchase, it's all LEDs. It can accept LED bulbs or is LED lighting. Indoor air quality, that's all a big part of it. Again, we're Indoor Air Plus. That's all part about being green. So we're big into that, and we actually certify that. And then I believe in taking a balanced approach to all this, because we have a lot of people ask us about solar and, should we put solar in? And if you want to use solar, you can. I can tell you that it's over a 20-year payback. It doesn't pay back in Texas. But if you want to, we can. It's not a problem. We know how to do it, done it several times. I was the example of an engineer. An engineer, they like it so they can tell their friends, but they're going to pay a whole lot of money. And literally most engineers will tell me, you're right, I'm never going to get my money back, but I wanted to do it because it was cool. So just be aware of that. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do. When we talk about energy efficiency, a lot of people ask me, well, what about a 2x4 wall or 2x6 wall? We're in Houston and San Antonio, or the southern part of Texas, and really all of Texas. A difference between a 2x4 and a 2x6 wall, first of all, it is not a stronger home. People think, well, 2x6 is stronger than a 2x4. Nope. It's all for your 2x4s and 2x6s are for vertical, not for horizontal. Your horizontal strength comes from wrapping your home with OSB. Okay. So vertical comes from the up and down. Well, a 2x6 and a 2x4 have the same strength. Okay. So you're not gaining anything there. What you are gaining on a 2x6 wall is you're able to go up to R19 insulation. So we already put in R15. Okay. So you're getting a little more insulation, but now you got to ask me how much money you're saving. We're able to meet Energy Star standards, which is a really onerous task, with R15 insulation in the walls. Okay. So getting to R19 is only a little better because the federal government's telling you in our area, in the southern area here, I'm saying federal government, this is a really onerous thing to belong to. That's why most builders don't belong to it. But they're even going, it's not that big a difference between a 2x4 and a 2x6 wall, meaning the insulation you get. So if it is something you want to do, not a big deal, we can do it. So one thing we do that's a little different is we have a 20-year warranty. We do that 20-year warranty is a little different than most builders. Again, they do a 10-year warranty. That's on your slab and structure. And because we do all these things on, structure, and because we do all the testing, and because we do all the inspections, we felt after we were in business for 10 years that we could stand behind our homes for 20. When I say after 10 years, because we proved that by doing everything right, we don't have to go back. We don't have slab failures. We don't have these problems that are associated, that people think are associated with building. And it really only happens when, one, your house isn't maintained or they didn't do all the stuff I'm talking about. You really can eliminate the problems. Great engineering, great inspections, doing things properly, and obviously it does take the homeowner maintaining their property to make sure that there's good flow away from the house. But when we leave the house, we've set it up for that. How much can I afford? A lot of people always ask. I always say, I'm trying to give an example. Desired monthly payment. In this case, we all know right now the interest rates aren't 6%, but I wanted to do some extremes. The term was 30 years. This person qualified for $166,000 homes if they wanted to pay $1,000. Okay. Desired monthly payment was still $1,000. The interest rate's 4%. Okay. It's less than that today, obviously, as we all know. The term was 30 years. Look how much more home they could qualify for. I always bring this up because people say I'm going to wait sometimes. I'm going to wait till I save up a little bit more money. As you wait and costs continue to increase, which that's not even reflected in here, and you wait and interest rates go up, you have to either make a whole lot of money, inherit a whole lot of money, or really be able to outpace what inflation will do and the cost. So I only bring it up is if you think you're close and, I'm trying to save 30,000 more or 20,000 more, you really probably need to get started because you're not going to be able to outpace it, what the interest rate will do and also what costs continue to do. Before you finalize this process, I highly recommend you go out and you talk to lenders. There's lots of different kind of lenders out there. You definitely want to look at one that there's lots of different programs that can do one-time closes, can do a construction loan that can turn into permanent financing. Highly recommend if you qualify for it that you look at a one-time close, which means a construction loan and permanent financing all rolled into one. You can lock your rate in up front. So if today you came in and you qualified for a one-time close and you were closing on that loan and your rolling rate was at 3%, when you close on that and we finish your home 10 months, 11 months, 9 months, whatever it takes to build this particular size home you have, you will close on that rate. So if the rate was 3% today, the rate will be 3% when you finish. If you did a two-time close, the rate for your construction note might be 4 or 5%. And then when you finish, you might be able to get a rate of whatever's the going rate. Rate could be 4%, or the rate could be 5% by that time. So the advantage of having a one-time close is your rate right now up front through the entire process. If you use one of our preferred lenders, one of the advantages of Design Tech Homes is we pay the interest while your home's under construction. We'll pay the interest while your home's under construction. I always say I won't pay for your land interest. So if you're buying property and or you don't own your property outright, you're going to pay that portion, but I'm going to pay the interest while the home's being built. So some people ask, well, how long does it take you to build, or how fast can you build? First of all, depending on the size home you have or building, it's 9 to 12 months for the whole process. Okay. But we're going to be paying that interest during that whole entire process, okay, of this build. So you definitely want to make sure that we have interest in getting it done and you have interest in getting it done. We have interest in that. The longer it takes me, the more money it costs. So we really work it hard in understanding the construction and moving the house along, but moving it along properly. We have all those inspections, which I told you we will fail some of them. So we're not moving along faster than what we can get inspected. So credit scores, obviously, they're going to look at those. liquid assets, debt to income ratio. These are all things they're going to be looking at. Appraisals, those play a role. You don't want to overbuild for the area. Monthly income, and reportable earning of self-employed. A lot of questions. I've put these up here, and I'm open for any questions you have now or later, whatever. But a lot of people ask, can we modify our plans? Yes, you can. So we're totally customizable. You can take half of one house, half of another, push them together, modify just the floor plan, make it a 3-car garage, 2-car, 5-car. Doesn't really matter. You don't like anything we got, meaning it doesn't fit your needs, we can design from scratch. Will we build outside architects' plans or designer plans? Yep, we will do that. Not a problem. If for some reason there's an online plan that you think really, really works, one is we'll review it with you. We may have a plan that we think works better. But secondly, we're able to review that with you. And then if we end up building it, we'll purchase it and then be able to, because we're going to have to redraw it anyway. I told you the engineering's not right. The plans generally aren't exactly what you think they are online. And people generally want modifications to those. So we're able to do that as well. How long is the process? Again, it can be anywhere from 9 to 12 months. Up front, if today you wrote a contract, if you literally walked in today and said, I'm writing a contract, it's about a 90-day process from the time you write a contract, that is what it is, to the time you close. It could be quicker than that, but we're trying to get all that done in 90 days. And what's happening during that 90 days? Some of that be modifying the plan. It'll be your color meeting, working with our interior designer, which is included. You get to sit down with a real interior designer, not just in a garage. It's really looking at how it's being done and this person's certified. It's not just the salesperson doing it. It's working with our designers, doing a 3D walkthrough of the house. All of our plans are all in 3D, okay? So we don't just design something and you have to look at it. We're gonna bring everything to life and have it in 3D during that time. We're getting permits, we're doing soils tests, we're getting the septic permits. We're doing a lot of stuff during that period of time to make sure that when we close, we're able to start your home. And that's during that 90 days. So that's the best way for me to start the process. And then once we place, depending on the size home, people ask that question all the time. Depends on if you're building a $1.5 million home or you're building a $500,000 home, or you're building a $400,000 home. Depends on where the location of your house is. All those things can determine how long it takes to build your home. But generally, we'll tell everybody 9 to 12 months for the process. What kind of insulation is best? First of all, insulation done correctly is best. And a lot of people talk about, as you shop, you're going to hear builders go, well, we use foam. We foam the whole attic. All those products are good if done properly. I always just kind of leave it at best. You can literally Google up sick home with foam. You're going to see all the positives of foam and you're going to see the negatives of foam. What I'll tell you is we use foam in all the places we think it makes a difference. If someone wants an entire attic foamed in, we can do it. My own personal home's not done that way. It's not something that I highly recommend. And I can give you lots of reasons why. But one of the reasons is we live in an area where we have storms and we're in a wet area, whether in Houston and maybe not quite as wet in San Antonio, but it does rain a lot. And homes do leak over time. They can get a leak. Like to think they wouldn't, but they could. And when they have a leak, and if you have a foamed attic, okay, the whole attic's foamed, well, it doesn't drip through. It gets caught up there, and nobody knows about it for a really, really, really long time. And then you have this giant failure because the wood rots underneath there, and then you end up with a big problem. The other reason I don't like foam is in a fire, it puts off caustic fumes. It's highly flammable, and most firemen, I would say almost all firemen, go ask them, they'll tell you they don't even like going into homes that are all foam because it's caustic, it's dangerous, and if they were on the roof, they won't even get on a roof that's got foam because once it gets really hot, really ignite. So there are negatives to foam. Chemically, there's negatives. You're putting more chemicals in your home, but again, that's not something we don't do. We use small amounts of foam, but again, I'm not going to say it's not one of our included features, and we're doing everything to make sure the home's sealed up and tight. We're doing that through our Energy Star certification. Do you have to have land first? You don't have to have land first to start the process, but you definitely need land as you move through the process, meaning you might say, when I say you don't have to have land, you need to at least have located land. You need to say, I want this land. We're going to put a contract on this land, because to determine what house is going on it, you need to know the restrictions. You need to know, what the cost of everything's going to be out there, the location. All those things come into play. So, you don't need land, but when I say that, you're going to have it located. You're going to have to understand where that land is, and do you have a contract on the land? Because, you can look at a bunch, or do you have a contract where you're going to do 2 or 3 pieces you're looking at? We definitely want to help advise you. So if you're looking at 2 or 3 portions and you say, hey, these are the positives, these 3, I know I'm buying one of these, make sure that at least you get some advice on it, as I talked earlier in the webinar, that it becomes a big deal understanding what each piece of land going to cost to build on, and then what's your cost per square foot. So I actually put something together on this, because that is a great question that a lot of people ask. And so this is going to kind of make the point of, it doesn't make sense. And I finally came up with a way to say it doesn't make sense. And here's why it never made sense. It doesn't make sense to the builder, but that's how a lot of buyers think that they go out and compare. And this is a great example. And I took a 10 by 10 space, which is 100 square feet. And I took a 20 by 5, which is 100 square feet. Okay. You can see the linear feet of that 20 by 5 is 50 linear feet, and the linear feet of the 10 by 10 is 40. Okay. So you're going, why is it cost different? Well, I had them actually take studs and brick and some other stuff, just to kind of look at what the difference was on a perfect square. There's no windows in this, there's nothing, but you can see the cost is an 8% difference. This is about as simplistic as you can get. So when you ask what the cost is per foot, it doesn't mean anything unless you know what's going in it, and what the design is, and how complicated it is, what kind of finishes you're putting on. I could have done brick on the one on the right. I'm sorry, on the one you're looking at on the right, which is the one that's 20 by 5, and do it stone. And I could have done brick on the one that's on the 10 by 10. And that number would have jumped from 4,500 to probably 6,500 from 5,500, because stone costs more than brick. So when you're running around asking how much your cost is per square foot, it's really, what is the house? What's the design? And what am I getting? It's not based on the square footage. It's based on the features that go into it. The garages, how big is the garage? What kind of windows are they putting in? What kind of doors? All those are things that add to the cost of the home that's totally outside of cost per square foot. So hopefully this helps when you get into that situation. This made it easy for me to do a comparison. With that, I'm open for any questions. We hope you do stay in touch with us through our social media, Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest, and all those things that you're able to go to. So really, really appreciate you spending your evening with me and your time. And I went a little bit over my hour. Sometimes I talk a little bit too much, but be happy if you have any questions in any area we talked about. I'll start answering. How do you manage subcontractors over large regions? And how long is your shortest subcontractor relationship? So first of all, we have construction managers that are broken out by region. So that's how we handle that. Some of the subcontractors we use actually have their own offices over a large region. So they actually, electricians sometimes manage an entire city because they have multiple offices. So it just depends. How long is your shortest subcontractor relationship? Well, we've had several subcontractors that work with us for years. So I don't know how to really answer my shortest. We use a lot of different products because we're totally custom. So some people come to us and want something totally different that we've never done before. So my answer to that would be, sometimes I have to get a new trade because we've never done that before. So if it's something we've never done, then I'm having to go hire somebody new. So that'd be my shortest one. I really don't know how to answer, whether there's a shorter one. We've had people that have been here for 6 months, year, 5 years, 10 years. I have construction managers that have worked with me for 15, 17 years. Chad in our design department's worked with me for 25 years. So you know, we're constantly looking for improved trades or better trades. So just because I have some good ones here now, I'm always looking to find if there's any better, because we're always trying to improve. So any other questions in and around that or in any other area, again, I'm happy to answer those. I'll be online for a few more minutes. I know that Brian's been answering some through chat. Don't want to take you away from your families, but love you to visit us at Design Tech Homes. We have a model park in Houston. We have a model park in San Antonio. The one in Houston has several homes for you to walk. The one in San Antonio has the one home there. Again, we're open 7 days a week. We're by appointment only. So please call ahead. And our personnel here are really, really great at kind of figuring out your needs, what you want. Definitely one of the things I would do as you're shopping, whether it's Design Tech Homes or anyone else, I'd really figure out and understand the loan process, because getting a construction loan is much different than getting a home that's an existing home. So if you go online, you go, oh, I was able to get a loan from Rocket Mortgage. Rocket Mortgage does not do construction loans or one-time close. You're going to need to go to some different lenders. And so again, we can include that, or if you have a question on that, please reach out to us and we'll get you in touch with some of those lenders. Do you do a lot of evaluation before signing a contract to build? Yes, we do. We do that. So it's a big deal. We want to, again, I spoke earlier about that. You know, a lot of people will tell you what stuff is before they've ever been out there. We want to make sure we understand what you're asking and that we're able to give you a realistic expectation of what's on the lot and what you're going to be dealing with. So yes, that's something that we do. Well, if there's no further questions, I really do appreciate everybody's time and spending the evening with me again. And hopefully we'll see you at Design Tech Homes. And if you don't buy from Design Tech or you're kind of new into the process, hopefully I've given you a lot of questions and things to ask other people. And the other thing is, again, I'll be sending this out. You'll get it automatically tomorrow. And if you don't get it, because it does come out from Ring Central, for some reason you don't get it, look in your junk mail first. And then please email me and say I'm not getting them, because maybe there's a problem. I don't control that part, the automatic part, but I would like to know. So again, thank you for your time, and y'all have a great evening, and stay warm over the next few days.